Hello, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the show. We are very excited to have you along. We are on part 5 of the USS Defiant, and I think this will be the last part because we're going to get to unmasking what we've got here, adding a few more photo etch details, some touch-up paint, and then the base. And once we've got all of that, then we should be off and running. So very excited about moving this ahead. We are at the process of unmasking all of the tape that we did, and I think I mentioned in part 4 that I am going to go over this with a blending coat of a real super light blue. I am considering using the blue Deco Art iridescent top coat acrylic, but I don't think that's going to give enough blue, but I am going to test it out as we go ahead. There's also, that's too dark. Oh, here we go. Blissful Blue is this color right here, is this final light, really light blue that there's a few of those pieces on there. This, if I water it down very much so, and then, or thin it down, but I still don't think that's going to be light enough. So I'm going to work on that a little bit. I do like the look that we've got here, and maybe we'll do this with weathering as opposed to a light coat, but I'm going to do a little bit of experimentation with that and see where we're going. But right now we are just in the process here of removing the tape from all of the paint, and I must say I am pretty pleased with the process, or the result rather, of all of this taping and all the time that we used to do that. And you can see that it's coming up pretty easily. And the big key is you don't want to scratch your paint underneath. You got to be careful with that, especially with any of this lifting with a the hobby knife, and then either the tweezers or your handy clamps that God gave you. And for the most part, I don't think I'm going to have to do a whole lot of touch-up on most of these. There's going to be a little bit here and there. However, I am pretty darn happy with the result and with the tape job. So as you can see, we've made a lot of progress. Let's see if we can take the Mac Daddy one off here. Yeah, there we go. So definitely very pleased. Now I'm going to leave the tan ones on because I don't want to get blue over the top of that. I've taken the front, I've taken this little bit of silver off. I am super excited and super pleased with the judicious use of metallics. And again, that is a just a Hobby Lobby titanium is what I used for that. I think it was Martha Stewart's titanium, quite honestly. And then I am going to change the color of that interior. I've seen where the one color is metallic, but then lots of detail painting inside of that. So we're going to work on that a little bit. And then, like I said, we got some touch-ups, and then we're going to see about getting some of this color taken care of. And it's fascinating, some of this is tape on tape on tape on tape because of just the stacking of the different colors. Like that. So, yeah, I am pretty excited with the way that that is turning out. Very pleased with the way that that is looking. And we still have tape over our engines, which I'm going to keep. and then paint over the impulse deck there. But if we do just take a moment to light this up now. Definitely seeing really a nice look throughout, top and bottom, with all the lights that we put into this. We've got the impulse deck, and we've got mask, liquid mask over the warp engines. However, you know, you can see how nice that this turned out across here on the nacelle. Still have some more untaping to do over here. And one more. And I'm really pleased. First of all, this model is fairly easy to do because of all of the deep panel lines. But I am pleased with using this burnishing tool to get into those crevices. Really has kept any paint from running terribly and making kind of a mess of things. So we're going to keep working on getting this revealed. We'll do some touch-ups, and then once we've got that done, then we're going to go to that blue coat. All right, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. This is update 5, and we will make progress from here. All right, hey, welcome back to the USS Defiant, and we are really making progress now. This has been, the metal portions have been taped off, and then I went ahead and sprayed again that iridescent blue, and man, that is just exactly what I was looking for. But I may have moved too quickly, and if you're doing this in a build order, the next time I would actually spray this with either Tamiya Clear X22 or Tester's gloss coat, because what I'm going to have to do is spend a little time in gloss coating this, and then once it's gloss coated, do the decals. And I don't think I'm going to retain that shimmer, so not even through the gloss coat. I think it's going to be gone. But what I'm going to do is I'll gloss coat it, decal it, maybe one more coat of shimmer if I lose it to the gloss coat, and then once that's done, then we will be able to do the fine touch-ups with the metal at that point. No point in doing the metal with doing gloss coat over it, because that doesn't look good. But I got to do a little bit of sanding. Like there's some areas here where we've got some buildup, so I've got to sand this down somewhat, and then you know, just kind of a buff polish coat with some 1500 grit sandpaper, which I don't know, this is probably 600 here. Yeah, no, it's 1500. So we'll sand this down a little bit with some 1500 sandpaper, then get a gloss coat on it, and then go to decals and touch-up paint, and then maybe, like I said, another coat of this blue. I'm just so amazed by it. It really turned out nice. So let me keep working, and I will be back with you. Thanks. Okay, hey, welcome back to the USS Defiant. We have narrowly avoided a disaster. My first coat of clear that went over the paint really started giving me some hassle. So what I did is I brought it back out here and took my 1500 grit sandpaper and basically did a buff job and polish job on the clear and brought it back to at least reasonableness. Actually pretty pleased with that. I'm also thrilled with the color of that iridescent blue over the top of this. Dead on or straight on, it's gray, or you know, my gray, but then it turns to the blue if you turn it to the right color. So super excited about that. whole purpose to getting to this point was to put the decals on. So decals are next, front and top, back and bottom, and then after the decals, I've got all the touch-up painting to do on things like all of these little panels, all the photo etch, which we're going to do in, I think we're going to do that here in super metallic, Mr. Color super metallic, and this is super stainless. So we're going to do that, and actually I think you can kind of see what that looks like. I painted one panel already, but and that's got clear over it. So anyway, we'll get there. But very pleased with this right at the moment. Again, the next phase now, decals. After the decals, we'll do another coat of clear and then a flat coat, and then just put on the greebles and the front of the Bussard collectors, make sure that these are painted right, pull the mask off of those, put in our clear glass pieces for the impulse engines, and unmask some of these things. Like this is still tan under here. So we are getting close, and like I said, barely avoided a problem, but I just really, I don't know if you can see that in camera, but basically my eyes, you go, it's got that shimmering blue, and I am a believer in that. Can't wait to do a refit with that shimmering blue, and I've got blues, golds, reds, greens, purples, so we'll have to do that. But you know, the thing is, the shimmering blue over this metallic, I don't know what color that is now, but I really like it, and I think it's going to be a nice offset on some of these things. And then we will, like I said, we'll continue with some of the other stuff. So let's keep going, and when we get there, we'll know. But for the most part, very, very happy with the results so far, and we will continue going. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Okay, hey, welcome back to the USS Defiant. And we are closely approaching the end of the decals. What I did is I went through and I started on the bottom first and went through the bottom, then down both sides, and then the top. All of the, I would recommend doing all of these gray pieces first if you're going to use them. Make sure you don't have to put any under the red stripes, and I think that happened to me on the bottom, although fortunately I wasn't going to use all of them. I used some of them, but many areas like these here, which would go across there, I already have such a nice paint job, I'm not going to do that. But where I did use it, I used these on the sides right here, and it added a couple of panels pretty nicely, quite honestly. And then across the silver here, and I used the tan ones simply because I like that color better. What's left to do is I have to add a couple more of these red little 64s throughout. They're pretty tiny. And then the striping. And the biggest problem with the striping, I believe, is the 88s. Those go all the way around the nacelle, and those are a giant pain in the tuchus, quite honestly. And then same thing with 89 and 90, those go all the way around the front of the nacelle, or I've got them reversed, one of the two. But yeah, no, I had them right. 88 goes around the back of the nacelle, a wrap around, and in the front. So that'll be cool. And then, like I said, these little ones here, and then the final USS Defiant registry around the front. And this here, this number 58, 59, come all the way down around the back. So if we pull out my other model, what you've got there is this circular here, and you go across several bumps and across several spots. It takes a lot of microsol to break that down and get it in where you want it. But we'll get there. The Defiant is usually pretty nice. There's nothing in my way this time. And then finally, like I said, here's that 90. That wraps all the way around down to here, and then it actually wraps up onto around the front cowling with this little section right here, right there, with that little section right there. It wraps around the cowling. So we are going to cut the rest of these out one by one and get them applied. Then what we're going to do is go in and do the detail painting, and then finally we're going to add my photo etch parts over the back there. And I think I'll wait on those. We'll do the detail painting. I will then give this a coat of flat or semi-matte. I'm not sure. Maybe just a matte finish would look nice on this. I like that, frankly, for this. And then once that's done, then we'll go to the mounting. But we're making good progress now, coming to the end of this, and we will be back with you. Thanks. Okay, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler. Welcome back to the USS Defiant. And we are just about over the finish line with this. All of the decals have been put in place, and all of the significant amount of the detail painting has been done. I have put a flat coat over all of this. The rear engines have been unmasked, and the impulse engine crystals have been put in, and then these 4 crystals here have been put in as accoutrement, if you will. And all the silver detail painting has been done using this Mr. Color Super Metallic Super Stainless 2. This is really nice stuff if you can get a hold of it. It's tough to find on Amazon, but it's there. Also have managed to add the photo etch to our Bussard collectors, and I really like the way that that has turned out. There's one, and there is the second one, and all that remains now is to add those Bussard collectors to the front of the Defiant. So we're going to see how that comes along. And although I do like this new fine line applicator, I have found that it just works best to run this pin through here and ream that out before you actually get started with doing the flow on this stuff. And I'm going to use this microcrystal clear in here to coat the backs of those, and then hopefully put them into place. So really all I'm going to do is just put a bit of drop on this side and on this side. Really not a lot of need for more than that. And then with my Bussard collectors, carefully put those into place. I think I'm going to go ahead and light that up just to see if we've got enough coverage with that Bussard collector around there. Now I can see I need to move that up just a hair. And that's the Bussard collector there on that side. Same thing here on the other. Clear there and there. And we'll put that into play like so. Here we go. fantastic. And then for the motors in the back, those turned out really quite nice. Very pleased with the way that those have turned out. Our lights here on the top are ready to go. Those are fantastic. My impulse engines here, my impulse engines across the top. That's kind of an interesting story. That's a nice little purple color, I think, purplish, and I don't know if that's. I think that might just be a byproduct of the. Might be a byproduct of the cotton and some glue on the cotton that got put in by mistake, that kind of thing. So again, that is also getting taken care of. My blue lights here in the engines turned out really well. Little detail painting my orange lights. My registry, I don't know if that's going to work, but I'll have to take a look at that in the dark. Looks like I've got it there. And then on the bottom we've got our two lights here and our single light there. Looks like I'm missing this piece here, that's the cradle, so I'll have to find that. But for the most part, like the way that these Bussard collectors are turned out. Try to get as much light into them as possible, like so. And off we go. So we're going to let that dry and do its thing. And then the next step is to go ahead and do a quick base for it. I'm actually headed out to get the base to see where that needs to go, but let's go ahead and set that up. And once that's done, then we are complete. So let me go to work on getting the base, and we'll get it mounted up, and when we come back, we'll have the reveal. Thanks. All right, hey, welcome back to the USS Defiant, the 1/1000 scale USS Defiant. We are fast approaching the completion of this model. Primarily, the final pieces that we have to do are mounting it to the base. And what I've done is I've taken a wooden plinth and gave it 3 or 4 coats of primer and super sanded it in between, and then I used just a spray metallic on there. Got just a temporary post in there to hold on my block. You can see I've got a block in there that is being glued at the moment, and then I've got 2 spots here and here for switches. So model will sit here, and then the base on top of that. So we are ready to go there. Very pleased with the way that turned out. It took about 3 coats of primer, sanding pretty heavily between each coat, and then a fairly heavy coat of just a metallic from Lowe's on the spray. Then it came time for the circuit to mount this, and I'll set that aside just for a second here, and we'll come back to it. This may look confusing, but actually it's pretty decent. So what we've got here, starting at the source, again, I've got just a real simple, this is, I think, is a 10,000 milliamp. I'm not going to use that. This is 10,000 milliamp. Probably going to use something akin to this, and actually maybe just one of these. And I just pick these up wherever I can get them. TrueTech, I don't even know. This is a 4,000 milliamp battery, but it's got to be able to fit in that base. But so we start with just plugging that into the USB start. This is a simple 1-foot cable that I have chopped down, and we've got coming off of that a hot wire, which is this right here, and a ground. And that I've taken out to my power switch, and this is not a lighted power switch, but I like the fact that it's got the power logo on it. That's very cool, so that'll fit in the side. Then we come to, and that is out to a, I think I call JST connectors, but just a little 2-pin connector. And the reason I like that is that I can now solder this, pull this pin apart and install it, and then repin it without having to do a bunch of soldering underneath the plinth. That's just a pain in the ass, so I was trying to figure that out. we came out to then two leads. One is going to be mains for all of the lights. That's coming off of the 5-volt power, coming off of our power battery pack. And then we've got another lead that's coming into my, my Flytron SE module. And this has 5 blinking modes, and if you've seen my other videos, you've seen it in there. But basically, you've got just let's flip this over, maybe this will help for a second. What you've got there is a positive and negative coming in, and you actually have one for if you want to hook this up to a transmitter. It's got another switch, and then a positive and negative for the LED coming out. And I've been able to fire up half a dozen LEDs off of this little chip with that. And then so that would go off to my blinking anti-collision lights with that set of leads there, and that again is plugged in. Then what we've got is you have to solder to, and I'm going to try to hold this up, you have to solder to this little tiny set of pins that are in there, and I was able to get that done. These pins basically are a momentary switch, and again I've got a switch there, and then off to just a momentary switch that again will fit into, these are screwed in, will fit into the base at that point. So just maybe to show a little bit of that real quickly, I don't know if we can, I'm not sure which is which here. Let me do a little bit of prep work for a second. I just want to make sure, I don't want to try and light up all the lights with the momentary switch. I don't want to overload that. I don't want to overload that board with too many lights in there, and there's quite a bit of lights in that spot. So that's the mains. So the other one is what we'll use. This, so I'm basically just going to temporarily connect hot, positive, negative. Okay. So now, if all goes well, plug in the positive, and now we've got our blinking anti-collision lights. 1, 2, 3, and there's one on the bottom there. So this momentary switch, you hit it, converts it to, this is just standard station keeping lights, half second on, half second off, maybe 1 second on, 1 second. And then this one here fades up, fades down, one more, fade up, a flash, and then down. And then another fade up, flash, and then down, and then I think the other one is just solid on. So you can do that, and then back to my triple blink, which is what I'm going to be using for this. So very pleased with that. And then the other piece is that this will also pull the full 5-volt into the mains at that point. So that is kind of the game plan. I have extra wire on the end of this so that I can indeed shorten that up. Sorry. There we go. So I have extra wire on the front of that I can shorten that up, and then we can go from there. So that is kind of the next steps. But I wanted to show you that circuit, how easy it is to power up. Everything you do is with 5-volt. You're off and running. I can shorten this lead up out to the mains. I can shorten this lead up out to the flashers, and then stuff the rest of this in and under the base. So, but a couple key differences that I normally do. Normally I'm soldering underneath there. I don't have to do that with this switch here. I don't have to solder in with this switch here because those are in with JSTs. I don't have to solder in with all of this connection. Only thing I have to do is 2 quick solder joints to the model underneath that, and then the rest plugs in, and we're off and running. So I will be back the next time you see this. We are going to go into the reveal, so we'll have that up and running, and we will do just a short video of just some passes with the camera. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Thanks. All right, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler, and welcome to the finale of the USS Defiant. We're going to just do some pass-throughs here and talk about the build process, paint process, and then the base a little bit. You've seen most of this, but we'll just review real quick. Right here, you're seeing just an overview from the top of the USS Defiant. Very pleased with the way that this came together. It is a snap-together kit, and so one of the keys I did was just drilled out each of the snaps so that you could put it together, take it apart, put it together, take it apart, and not lose the locator pins on that. So the overall color here is the polished concrete. That's the hull color, and then there are 4 different colors of blue, and very, very pleased with the subtleness of it. I've seen some Defiants that have been done, awesome work, but they're very stark at in some cases. So I was really pleased with the way that this paint turned out. Of course, after the paint colors went on, then I used the iridescent blue. And again, I think the process there, I would change that up next time, because I think I lost some of that when we went to the clear coat. So if I did this again, which I'm doing the 1/420 scale version, what I would do is paint my panels, and that's, you know, paint the panels, tape it, paint the next panels, tape that off, paint the next panels, tape that off, paint the next panels, tape that off, and then finally paint the whole hull color. But what I would do is do all of that, leave my tans and metals taped off anywhere it was metallic, or any of the clear parts taped off. Then I would put on a couple of coats of clear coat to give you a nice gloss. Then do the decals, and after the decals are done, come back and do that iridescent blue, because I'm a believer, and it does leave a really nice kind of satin flat finish. You may not have to do more than another satin coat on that to get that all done, to give you the final look. Very pleased with the lights on this. You can see here the blue lights for the warp chiller grills. You've got the impulse crystals there on the top, and then of course the warp exhaust along with the impulse exhaust. All of that just turned out really, really nice. Very pleased with that. You've got the port side station keeping lights. You've got the starboard side green station keeping lights here, and then you've also got these flashing strobes on the top, and those orange lights in the front, and then the 2 lights that are on either side of the bridge. All of that turned out really, really nice. The big challenge with the Bussard collectors, I found, was just opening up that hole large enough to put those on without being too large that you couldn't actually glue it, and that was really quite challenging. I don't think I executed that as well as I could have, and I've got a plan for the 1/420 scale version of this. As a snap-together kit, these seams go together really, really nice, and once you've got the model closed up, the seam work on this is really pretty quick, pretty straightforward. I think I showed you using the Mr. Surfacer 500 and 1000. That's about all you need. You don't need a lot of putty for this. And then again, using the microcrystal clear in my little hypodermic needle to be able to leave just an absolute tiny bead that fills gaps, and then you can paint right over that. Again, worked really, really, really nice.
The base went together really well. I opted for a very short brass rod in there, brass tube rather, to allow the wires to go through. And there's just 2 wires that go through, one for the main lights and one for the flasher. You can see the green reflection there, green and red reflection on the top of the base where you've got station keeping lights underneath. And from that perspective, really pleased with all of the lighting that went on. One of the things I did really think added to this kit, I didn't use all of the decals. Where I had a large blue paint, like let's say those raccoon stripes across the top, those worked out great without putting any additional decals. But on the nacelles, using the decals over those panels really brought out some additional colors on this. Most of those decals are a gray or a light blue at best, but they did fill up some of those colors and give a nice contrast. And again, it wasn't too contrasty with the rest of the paint. We just did a pass there on the Defiant deflector dish. That deflector dish, I think, really turned out nice, and that was done along with the grills right here that you're seeing. Just again a micro mask that I used in there. That's that micro line filler. Once I was done, I was able to just clean that out of the chiller grills area, and as a result, I think that worked great. Well, we do appreciate you coming along on this. I would appreciate some constructive criticism, any comments you have. It was a wonderful build to do, and I would highly recommend it for kids, or if you've got some Christmas gifts coming up for kids who are 10, 12, 13 years old. I think it would make a nice model for them to put together. If you did like what you see today, I really would appreciate a like on this, share, and your subscriptions. We're growing the channel. And until we see you the next time, this is the Sloppy Modeler signing off. Thank you.